Tens of millions of shipping containers exist, yet ports worldwide are overrun with empties no one wants to move. In 2023, China's trade surplus topped $800 billion, while just 40% of outbound U.S. boxes were filled, leaving whole fleets stranded. Why pay up to $3,000 just to ship empty metal home, when for many, abandoning them makes more financial sense? The consequences ripple far beyond the port fence, and the real reason this happens upends everything you think you know about global trade. Global trade doesn't flow in circles, it flows in one direction. Goods pour out of China, filling ships with electronics, furniture, and machinery bound for North America and Europe. In 2023, China's trade surplus reached $823 billion, the highest anywhere on Earth. That means far more containers leave Chinese ports full than ever come back loaded. The imbalance is even clearer at the other end. At major U.S. ports, only about 40% of outbound containers carry cargo. The rest leave empty, sent back across the ocean, or left to pile up in yards. This is the difference between what the industry calls the head haul, the loaded money-making trip from Asia to the West, and the backhaul where demand dries up and containers move mostly without cargo. Every year, millions of boxes accumulate in places that import far more than they export. They don't just sit for a few weeks. They can linger for months, sometimes years, clogging storage lots and crowding terminal space. The result is a global mismatch. Export powerhouses like China are always hungry for empties, while import-heavy regions are flooded with boxes no one needs. Instead of circulating smoothly, containers get trapped by the very trade patterns that made them essential. This is why empties appear where they are least wanted, and why moving them home isn't just inconvenient, but a financial headache. The next question is, what does it actually cost to send an empty box back across the world? Every step in getting an empty container back to Asia comes with a price tag. First, there is the local haul. Trucking a 40-foot box from an inland warehouse to the nearest port can cost anywhere from $100 to $500. Before the container even touches a ship, terminal handling charges add another $100 to $300. Then comes the main event, ocean freight. Even for an empty box, the trip from Los Angeles to Shanghai often runs between $1,000 and $3,000, depending on the market. Stack it all together, and the total can easily hit $2,000 to $2,500 for a single empty move. In tight years, in 2021, repositioning costs soared past $3,000 per container. That is not counting extra fees if the box sits too long. Demurrage charges can pile up quickly during congestion. The real kicker? Empty containers do not earn a cent on the return trip. Each one takes up valuable space that could be filled with paying cargo. During peak demand, carriers have to choose: move a box of air or make room for a shipment that actually brings in revenue. In 2021, some operators faced a stark choice: pay thousands to ship empties home or leave them behind and risk running out of equipment in Asia. These numbers explain why, when the spreadsheet does the math, returning an empty box can look like a losing bet. A new shipping container rolls off the assembly line in China every few seconds. The numbers behind this production engine are staggering. More than 95% of the world's shipping containers are built in China, supplied by just a handful of massive factories that serve nearly every shipper on Earth. This is where the math starts to look upside down. A brand new 20-foot container sells for as little as $1,800 to $2,200. The larger 40-foot boxes, the workhorses of international trade, cost between $3,000 and $3,800. These prices are not just competitive, They are often lower than the cost of sending an empty container halfway around the world. China's dominance comes from more than just low wages. Factories cluster near steel mills, cutting material costs and reducing shipping time. Government support, from subsidized land to tax breaks, helps keep prices stable. Scale is the secret weapon. These plants can turn out thousands of containers a day, spreading fixed costs across millions of units. When demand surges, as it did during the global shipping crunch, Chinese manufacturers ramp up production without missing a beat. For shipping lines and leasing companies, the choice is straightforward. Faced with a $2,500 bill to reposition an empty box, or the option to buy a new one for nearly the same price, the spreadsheet makes the decision. The industry keeps ordering new containers, not because the old ones are broken, but because China can deliver fresh stock at a price the rest of the world simply cannot match. Every year, Asia's export hubs brace for a surge in demand that never truly goes away. Shipping Association forecasts show that between 500,000 and 1 million additional containers can be needed in Asia in a single year. Not because the boxes are worn out or broken, but simply because so many remain stuck thousands of miles away. The problem is not about age or quality, it is about geography. As goods flow out of China, Vietnam, and other manufacturing giants, containers race to deliver cargo across oceans. But once they are emptied in North America or Europe, getting them back is expensive and slow. The result is a constant shortage at the very ports where exports are loaded. Factories in China and neighboring countries respond by ramping up production, pushing out thousands of new containers each day. The global fleet grows larger, yet the pattern repeats itself. No matter how many new boxes roll off assembly lines, the system never quite catches up. The more containers get trapped in import-heavy regions, the more new ones must be built to keep exports moving. This cycle is self-reinforcing. Shortages in Asia drive up annual orders, which in turn feed the global oversupply everywhere else. The world's supply of containers expands, but the imbalance never truly resolves. Instead, the industry adapts by making new containers faster and cheaper, ensuring that export hubs are always ready for the next wave of demand. A shipping container's first act might last just 10 or 15 years at sea, but that is rarely the end of its story. Every year, between 1.5 and 2 million boxes exit the global shipping fleet and enter a sprawling second-hand market. Some are snapped up by recyclers who turn them into storage units for farms and factories. Others are converted into pop-up shops, homes, or even classrooms. A container can keep working for up to 25 years after its ocean days are over. But there is a catch. Each new container built releases about 2 to 3 tons of carbon dioxide, a cost that is locked in from the start. Meanwhile, the stacks of empties that filled the port of Los Angeles in 2022 made headlines not just for the wasted space, but for the extra emissions from ships idling and trucks rerouting. For recyclers and port operators, the dilemma is clear. Reuse helps, but the environmental bill for building and moving all this steel never really goes away. Repairing an older shipping container is not cheap. Each trip can rack up $100 to $300 in maintenance, and that is before factoring in the risk of cargo damage or insurance claims. For companies managing thousands of units, these costs add up fast. Depreciation cycles offer another incentive to keep fleets fresh. Most firms plan for containers to lose value over 10 to 12 years, allowing them to write off expenses predictably. Leasing giants like Triton International and Textainer have built their business around this model. They control more than half of the world's container fleet, ordering new equipment in bulk to ensure reliability and flexibility. Leasing rates typically run between 50 cents and $1.50 per day, so every efficiency matters at scale. By continuously modernizing their inventory, these firms lock in savings and minimize surprises. even if it means letting surplus units pile up in distant ports. The cycle becomes self-sustaining, with new orders driving the system forward. Every year, millions of containers are left behind, not because they are broken, but because the math demands it. As global trade remains unbalanced, old steel piles up, while new ones keep rolling out. Efficiency wins, but the world pays the price. What would it take to break this cycle?